What is going on, Slaybaes? It's Ashley and welcome back. As you can see, I'm literally barefaced. I have nothing on my face. My brows are not even filled in, and that's mainly because I really wanted to sit down and do a full face testing out new makeup trends, but with affordable makeup products. Now, you guys probably know from 2018, 2019 to now 2020, makeup trends have completely evolved, and what used to be popular isn't really as popular anymore, and it's kind of fading out. So I'm gonna go over those makeup trends in today's video. Now, forewarning, I haven't really tried out any of these makeup trends really on myself. For instance, cream blush, you guys know I suck at it, but we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna pretend like we know what we're doing, and we're gonna do a full-on look. So if you guys love this video and you guys want to see more videos like it, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click that bell just so that way YouTube will notify you when I upload. I do upload every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and if I just so happen to miss an upload, I upload every Monday and Friday. Super confusing, so that's why you want to make sure those notifications are turned on. With that, I'm gonna zoom you in super up close and personal so that way we can at least get started on these brows. So let's go. So as you can see, I literally have nothing on my face. I don't even have sunscreen on. I know that's a big deal, but I did want to start off barefaced. I am going to start off with my brows. So you are going to need a dual-ended brow pencil. I'm going to use this one right here by CoverGirl. It has a spoolie on one end and the brow pencil on the other. If you use Brow Wiz by Anastasia, the brow definer, or even Precisely My Brow, that's completely fine as long as you have a spoolie, because one of the biggest trends right now is feathered soft brows. And I mean, I guess it's either feathered boy brows or soft brows that still have a little bit of definition but aren't overly drawn in. So I am going to first start off with the spoolie, and I'm going to brush the hairs upwards. As you can see, my brows are definitely a little bit more overgrown, which I'm really happy about. For a long time, I couldn't really grow this part of my eyebrow, but I completely stopped plucking them and I started going to an actual brow stylist to really shape my brows the way I want them. I'm going to take this brow pencil here and I'm just going to lightly fill it in towards the tail. And when I say lightly, I mean very lightly. I do want a little bit more definition in this area because it is very sparse, but I don't want to overfill them in. So I'm just going in small strokes, and I'm even going in hair-like strokes. Whoops, that was a mess up. Don't do that. I'm also going to take a little bit of this brow pencil here underneath, and then I'm going to take my spoolie and just kind of feather it and brush it out, just so that way they're nice, soft, and defined, but not overly dramatic. Now, the only high-end product I'm going to use in today's video is this brow marker right here by Stila, only because I do not have one from the drugstore that I really love and stand behind. What I'm going to do with this brow marker is I'm going to create hair-like strokes within the tail of my brow, because like I said, this area is a little bit more sparse, so I do want to just kind of mimic hairs and just go very lightly. Okay, so now that I have those little hair-like strokes in my brows, I'm gonna move on to kind of like making my eyebrows look like they're a little bit more like pulled up, like an eye lift. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna take a little bit of eyeshadow primer. I'm gonna use this one right here by e.l.f. and I'm gonna carve out a little bit of my brow here just to make it look like it is just like a little bit more lifted. Now, I feel like the eye putty primer is just a little bit too dry for this step, so I am going to use concealer instead. I'm going to use the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer to kind of lift my eye a little bit. Not gonna lie, I'm actually really liking this little trend right here. Like, do you guys see my brows like lifted in it? It could be a little bit more lifted, but we're just gonna roll with this. I'm gonna move on to the eyes. Now, an eye trend I've been seeing going around a ton is the Foxy eye trend, like Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, Kendall Jenner, all the models, literally. So we are going to mimic that trend. I'm gonna take a little bit of the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. This one is in the shade Cream. Now, I feel like mine's is a little dry, but it could just be how much I picked up on that other brush. I'm just gonna take this all over my eyelids to prime them for eyeshadow. I have high hopes for this Foxy eye look. It looks so, so, so cute. I've seen it all over Instagram, all over YouTube. So I was like, I have to do this. And the best part is I'm using affordable products. Beauty on a budget all day, every day.
You already know how we do it.
Eyes are primed. Let's jump into eyeshadow. Now, the eyeshadow palette I'm going to be using today is this one right here by Catrice. This is the Catrice and Amon collaboration. You guys know when I tried this out, I loved it. I thought it was everything and more, especially for the price point. And it literally has all the shades we're going to need for today's look. The light brown, dark brown, black, literally everything you need. I know a lot of people have the ABH Soft Glam palette in your collection, which is something you could also use for like a high-end option. I know people out there wonder why I always use affordable products, and the reason I use affordable products is because I feel like you don't have to break the bank to feel and look good. I feel like you can very much use affordable products and still get the same exact look as a high-end palette. You could also use the Makeup Revolution palette. This here is called the Velvet Rose palette. And then the last and final one that I want to recommend to you guys is the Hola Chola palette, which I know isn't being sold anymore, but if you have this in your collection, you can very much do like a Foxy eye look using these. Honestly, you really need like a soft brown, a dark brown, and a black eyeshadow, and also a bone colored shadow, and you will be good to go. Again, for the sake of today's video, I will be using this palette right here, and I'm gonna first start off with the shade right here called Fairfax. I'm gonna put that all over my crease to act as my base color. The next shade I'm gonna take is called Sunset. It's this middle shade right here. It's a really pretty soft brown, and I'm just using an M441 to rock this in my crease. Now I am gonna take this shadow up a little bit, kind of like a cat eye, but not really, because this is a foxy eye and foxes aren't technically cats. So we are just gonna go in big circular motions. I'm starting very, very soft, especially like in the very inner 1/3 of my eye. I'm really gonna focus this kind of like middle outer crease area, and then just take my brush and flick it up. Do you know how tempting it is to remove all of these hairs right here? But I'm not gonna do it. I've worked too hard growing out my eyebrows to pluck them for a trendy makeup video. Now, if it helps, you can even go in with a brush like this that comes to a little bit more of a point. It's still fluffy, so it's gonna apply it in a diffused way. This is an M505 by Morphe. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of Sunset, and I'm gonna put this in my crease, and I'm actually gonna use it to do the flick right here, because I feel like I have more control over where it's going, because it kind of has like a tulip shape to it. Now you can easily use like the e.l.f. tapes or something like that, but I'm not, because I don't really want my outer edge to be super sharp. I feel like Foxy eyes are really meant to be very soft, effortless, and blown out. But if you want to use eye tape, you definitely can. I'm just not for the purpose of keeping things very, very soft and blown out. So now that I have that done, I'm gonna take this bone color shadow here called Fairfax, and I'm just gonna lightly dust it over top of that brown just to kind of soften it out. And I'm also gonna take it like in this inner part here, because you guys know me, I love like a bright-eyed, very like inner 1/3. So I'm gonna focus a little bit more of that in the very inner 1/3 and a little bit over top of that brown just to soften up the edges. Now it's time to make the wing. I will be using the black within this palette to create the wing. You are gonna need an angled brush to do this, or whatever brush you actually like to use to do winged eyeliner. I'm gonna make sure I coat my brush pretty nicely, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna look straight into my mirror, and then I'm just gonna follow the shape of my eye and how I like to do my liner. So everyone is gonna be different for this step. I'm actually gonna bring it out just like a little more here. And once I have that first line going, I'm just gonna kind of connect it and bring it in like that. And then whatever's left on my brush, I'm just gonna use it to fill in that wing. Doesn't need to be super, super dark. You just want it to be filled in. Then I'm gonna pick up a little bit more shadow and I'm gonna connect this black all alongside the very inner and middle part of my lash line. So now I'm gonna take a fluffy brush here and I'm lightly gonna start buffing this out, mixing in a little bit of brown. So I'm gonna use the lighter brown and I'm also gonna use this brown right here called Runyon. And I'm just gonna go to town and start really blowing it out. Now I'm just taking an M506 and I'm running a little bit of that shade called Sunset right over top of the blacks and the browns that we kind of layered. I do feel like I made my liner just like a little bit too dark. Next time I'll probably use this dark brown called Sweetser first instead of going in with the black, but definitely a learning curve, a learning experience. Sometimes you got to make mistakes in order to learn from them. So that was definitely one of them. I am going to switch brushes. I'm going to use this liner brush right here. This is an ABH A28. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Sweetser and I'm going to take this right here closest to my lash line, just to line it out a little bit more. I really want to define out my eye area. I'm even going to mix in a little bit of that black just so that way it stands out. And I'm going to run this all alongside my upper lash line. So now that my eyeshadow is blended out for the most part, I'm going to take some makeup wipes by Billy and I'm going to use these to clean up the fallout underneath my eyes because I have some black sitting there and I really want to work on like a clean canvas when I get to my primer and foundation. Now I definitely have to do my base makeup before I finish the rest of the eyes. So that's kind of why I want to clean up this area. Again, I have nothing on my face, which is why all of my blemishes are just out and exposed, but don't mind them. Things happen, people break out. This is the real world. I am gonna go in with a primer. The primer I'm gonna use today is this one right here by Catrice. This is called the Aqua Fresh Hydro Primer. It's called Fresh It Up. It is a moisturizing primer. I've been really into moisturizing primers recently. I just love the way they feel on my skin. I definitely feel like this primer is a spot on dupe for the Primerizer by Smashbox. That was my holy grail primer for what feels like forever. So if you guys want a really, really good dupe, definitely check out the one from Catrice. It is incredible. All right, so we have Foxy eyes going. Another makeup trend that I've been seeing a lot, especially over on Instagram, is very like fresh makeup, like no makeup, and your skin is very, very dewy. So that's kind of what I'm gonna try to replicate in today's video. I am gonna color correct. I'm gonna use my color corrector here from LA Girl. This is the Pro Conceal High Definition Concealer in the shade Peach. I really like this color corrector. I feel like it gets the job done. Do I love the applicator? Not so much, but I do feel like it really combats all of the blues and greens underneath my eyes, which is why I do switch back to it from time to time. I also really love this one by Pixi. This is the Brightening Peach Concentrate. I use this one forever. As you can see, I hit pan on it, but I like to switch things up from time to time, so that's why I'm using something a little bit different. I am going to take more of a fluffy brush to really buff and blend out this concealer, and I'm just using this one right here by Believe Beauty. I'm not using as much of this peach color corrector because I don't want it to be like all over my face. I'm really highlighting this underneath my eyes, and I'm also going to take it on my upper lip and alongside my mouth because I struggle with a mustache.
I've had a mustache all my life.
So I like to take it here, and then I'll also take a little bit down the sides of my nose and over top of some of these blemishes, because anytime I get a pimple and I won't pick at it at all, I will break out. It doesn't matter if I leave it alone, don't touch it, I will literally scar. Anything that pops up on my face scars. And it's a little unfortunate, but that's something I've struggled with for a really, really long time. I'm gonna take that same Believe Beauty brush and I'm gonna blend this out as well. We're nice, we're primed, we're color corrected. Let's move on to foundation. Now I do have several different options for you guys because I know some products may break you out, some products may not work for you. Now the product I'm gonna be using in today's video to get this dewy no makeup trend is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is in Dewy. Another product I recommend that you guys check out is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. This gives you amazing coverage but still remains very luminous and natural on the skin. Or even this one right here by NYX Cosmetics. This is the Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation. For me personally, I am gonna stick with this one by Wet n Wild. It's what I've been using every single day for the past like month and a half since I got it. It's unreal. I really, really love this foundation. The shade I'm using is Soft Beige. Now, I am gonna start off by putting the foundation all over. I do need a decent amount of foundation to cover up the color corrector I put on my skin, but I'm really using this to even out my skin tone more than I am to completely cover up everything on my face. I'm gonna use a brush to buff and blend this out. This here is the Sephora number 56. Again, one of my personal favorites, but you can use a sponge. You can pretty much use whatever you want. This is just what has been working for me recently. Okay, so I have one side blended out with foundation and I think it looks really, really good. I do plan on going in with a sponge directly over top just to make sure I don't have any streaking going on. But as you can see, my skin still looks very, very natural, very radiant, very dewy, but not oily. And that's why I really love this foundation. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this side. I'm gonna put on just enough foundation to really even out my skin tone. Foundation is pretty much good to go. I do want to move on to concealer. I will be using the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer. This one is in the shade Light, but the thing about going in with concealer, especially with the current makeup trend, is you don't want to go too light because very highlighted and contoured skin isn't really like the wave right now. This one is a little bit light, but I will be using the same brush I use for my foundation to buff and blend it out just so that way this doesn't look too stark and harsh underneath the eye. I don't know what it is. I've really been loving to use a brush. Like, who am I? I don't know. I'm gonna use a little handheld mirror because I can't really see. It's getting to that point, guys. I can't see. No, okay, anyways. I'm gonna use a fluffy brush here because I really want the concealer to blend in with the liner and I don't want it to do anything like weird or make it stark or harsh. So I'm just using like an M433 and I'm blending the concealer closest to the eyeliner just so that way it's still kind of like smoky. I am going to powder underneath my eyes. I will be using a little bit of the CoverGirl True Blend Minerals Loose Mineral Powder in the shade Translucent. I'm gonna use this like right here in like the very like inner tear duct of my eye so that way my concealer does not crease. I do want the rest of my face still to remain very, very luminous and dewy because we are going for that very like effortless, soft, like kind of sweaty but not really makeup look. Okay, so now that we are nice and powdered underneath the eyes, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of setting spray. Now, a setting spray I would use from the drugstore would be one by Catrice, but we're quarantined and I can't go to Ulta and pick one up. So I'm gonna use what I have in front of me, but I'm going to let that set before we move on. So give me about, I don't know, a minute, 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I did zoom you guys out just a little bit because I do want to powder a little bit further because I'm not really into like super wet skin like this. Honestly, I just look like a grease ball, and me living in Florida, this would not hold up at all whatsoever. I feel like walking to the car, my face would literally be on the ground. So we are gonna go in with a little bit of Pro Face High Definition Mattifying Powder, and I'm gonna use a number 96 Sephora brush, and I'm just going to kind of spot powder to get rid of that shine, because while we wanna glow, we don't wanna be an oil slick. By the way, the shade I'm using is Nude Beige. It looks a little dark on my forehead now, but I'm also gonna take this like on my chin and around my mouth, because those are areas you definitely don't wanna be oily. And I'm gonna take some like right in this area. I always get super nervous whenever I'm trying to like powder and be glowy at the same time. I just feel like it never really works out for me. I am going to take this on my nose as well. I definitely want to go in with some cream product. I am going to be using this by Physicians Formula. This is another one of my favorites. This is the Organic Wear Sculpting Bronzer with jojoba oil, and I am using the shade Toffee. I'm going to take this on a number 47 brush by Sephora Collection, and I really like to brush my bronzer on here because I feel like it gives me more of a natural effect. And I'll start right here at my hairline, and I'll just tap it. This is actually a lot of product. I'm going in and I'm really buffing this into my hairline. I know it looks very, very warm, but I will fix that here in a second. Now, I will say what makes this makeup look a little bit more natural is the fact that my sunspots are still kind of peeking through in this region. So instead of like completely covering them up, I do want to really just accentuate what's already there. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this around my hair. Ooh, and my little bun is coming apart. Y'all see me with a slick back bun today? A little slick back bun. All right, now after that, I'm gonna go in with that sponge that I use. I'm gonna take like the butt of it, and I'm just gonna kind of blend everything together, because we really don't want any harsh edges, and we still want things to be very, very, very natural over here. Now, I know it kind of looks like I have a bronzer helmet, but I will be adding like a little bit of color to my jawline and also the sides of my nose. So I'm gonna pick up just like a little bit more. And I'm gonna take this down here. Before taking bronzer down my nose, I am gonna go in with a little bit of the Physicians Formula Natural Defense Finishing Powder, and I'm lightly going to dust this over top of that cream bronzer, just to kind of finish it off. And then once I go in with my setting spray, it'll give it more of like a skin-like appearance. This is just gonna make sure nothing moves in the process. And I'm also gonna take this finishing powder like right here alongside my nose and Cupid bow. Okay, so we are gonna go in with cream blush before I go in with my nose contour. I do wanna use these by Flower Beauty. These are the blush bombs. I have Pinched, and then I also have this one right here called Nectar. I'm gonna mix the two together. I really love both shades, but I feel like mixing them together will give me more of like a custom shade. This is what both shades look like right next to each other. And like I said, I'm gonna do like a little custom cocktail. So let me mix these two on the back of my hand. You guys could really do whatever it is that you're into. The brush I'm gonna use is this one right here by Sephora Collection. This is a number 96. I'm gonna pick up some of that cream product like so. I'm gonna tap it until it is slightly dry, and then I'm gonna pop it on the apples of my cheeks to give me a really, really beautiful flush of color. Now, I definitely feel like cream blush right now is the wave. Like, it's all the rave, it's all anyone's wearing, and I feel like you have to apply it in a way that is very, very flattering. So one of the biggest tips I can give you when applying cream blush is to put it on the back of your hand first, mix whatever shades you want together, and then really warm it up with either your fingers or a brush. I know some people apply cream blush with their fingers because the warmth of their fingertips really helps it melt into the skin. For me personally, I feel like a brush is the way to go because I can really control exactly where I'm placing the blush. I'm putting it right here on the apples, and it gives you such a beautiful and like healthy glow. I like to put like one layer of blush on, and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll go back in and just kind of build it up a little bit. Another tip I really like to do to get cream blush to blend perfectly into the rest of my makeup is I will take a little bit of this finishing powder, and I'll put some of it over like the edge of the blush. So if I can see an edge, like an edge right here, I will just take a little bit of this and kind of like powder the edges, just so that way it blends better and more seamless. I know so much when it comes to creams, I feel like it's so easy to make creams look bad. So you really have to take your time and use them strategically. Moving on, let's talk about bronzer. Like I said, I definitely want to add definition right here alongside my nose. I already started, so I just took a little bit of that bronzer and I put it right here alongside my nose. This kind of gave me more of a shape. The bronzer I'm using is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. This is in the shade Sun Tan. This is one of my personal favorite shades because it's not too warm, but it's not too cool. It falls right in the middle, and it really creates the prettiest shadows I have ever seen. I'm taking this right here, and then I'm also taking it in like the very inner 1/3 of my crease. So right here in like the inner part of my socket. And the reason I'm doing that is that I want this nose contour to really blend in with my eyeshadow because I feel like it makes it look a lot more natural. So I'm taking it right in here, and then I'm blending it in with the rest of the look. Now I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of shadow, like a smidge of shadow on my lower lash line. So I'm gonna go in with that Catrice palette. And I'm making a lot of noise. Sorry, there was a lot of stuff on top of this, but I'm gonna pick up the shade called Sunset. And I'm just lightly going to dust a little bit of this on my lower lash line before we move on to the cat eye portion of this look. Just a little bit. You definitely don't want this to be too dark. You just want things to connect. And I'm over here telling you guys or teaching you guys as if I've done this before. Honestly, first time doing a lot of this stuff, but so far I'm really, really loving the way that this look is turning out. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that brown liquid eyeliner, and I'm gonna go for it, even though I'm really, really, really scared. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with a brown crayon eyeliner. This one is by Neutrogena. This is the Smoky Coal eyeliner, and it is one of my personal favorites. I'm gonna use this to tightline, so I'm gonna look up, and I'm gonna drag it all alongside here. And also right in here, especially like this very inner part as well. I'm gonna take a nude liner now, and I'm gonna take it in my waterline. This is something I do in almost every single one of my looks. And just because this is a Foxy eye makeup look doesn't mean I'm not gonna do it. Like, it gives me even more reason to do it. Then I'm gonna go in with a little bit of mascara. You can use whatever mascara you have in your collection. I'm just gonna use what's right next to me. I'm also gonna take some of this right here on my lower lashes. Okay, so I went ahead and popped on these false lashes. fully stacked by Salon Perfect, 614. They are so flirty, so fluffy, just so fluttery. I feel like they complement the eyes very, very nicely. But anyways, moving on, let's actually do lip liner. I'm gonna use this brown lip liner by Milani. This is the Understatement lip liner in the shade Shoop. Now this does come in a lip kit, so keep that in mind. They don't sell this on its own. It is in the salt and pepper lip kit called Shoop. So I'm gonna use this to line my lips. Alright, so I definitely got a little out of control when it came to the lip liner. I lined them and then just filled them in ever so slightly. I'm now gonna go in with this lipstick right here. It's called Quickie by ColourPop. Literally one of my favorites. And I'm gonna blend this in with the brown lip liner. Okay, and since highlighter is all the rave, I am gonna apply a little bit of loose highlighter from the e.l.f. in Bella collection. I'm only gonna apply a little bit of this stuff. A little bit goes a very, very long way. By the way, this is a spot on dupe for the Jaclyn Hill loose highlighter in the shade Balm. I included it in a dupes video a few months back, but I'm gonna take my brush and I'm gonna swirl it on the cap because you literally don't even need to dip into the product. What's on the cap is literally more than enough. I'm gonna pop this right here. And I'm only gonna focus it in this area. And also on the tip of my nose, forehead, because I still want to give the illusion of a very dewy, glowy, like wet look without using this to accentuate too much texture. Whatever's left, I'm just gonna run it on my cheeks, my blush, because we still wanna look, like I said, glowy. But all in all, this looks gorgeous. Ooh, brow gel. Can't forget brow gel. I'm gonna use this one right here by CoverGirl. This is just in clear. And I'm gonna brush my brow hairs up. So I went ahead and zoomed you out, you guys, and this right here is the final and completed look. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. I will definitely say I'm a little shocked. Like, my eyes are soft and blown out, like soft and smoky, but completely different than anything I've ever done on my channel. I'm really, really into very neutral, soft glam looks, and this is it. But I feel like the very inner corner elongates the eyes in a way that I've never done before. So let me know what you think of this Foxy eye look. I also really love the kind of like eye lift that I did with my eyebrows. I cut my eyebrows a little bit higher so that way they were just a little bit more straight, and it kind of gave me the illusion of like a full-on eye lift. As far as the base makeup, I feel like it's not anything different than what I've been currently doing, with the exception of the cream blush. I don't think it looks too bad. I definitely feel like cream blush is very difficult for me personally because I don't really experiment with it often. If you guys have any tips or any videos that you recommend that I watch to kind of get better at cream blush, leave them down below in the description. And with that, I don't have much else to say except don't forget to set your face down with a little bit of setting spray. I do recommend the one from Catrice, and that is about it. I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much, and I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.